You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right.
This did not go well for anybody. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Johnny Says So, Episode 10, Trump versus Zelinskyy. Now, this clip has been making the rounds all weekend. I'm sure everybody and their dog has seen it by now, but obviously this thumbnail here isn't exactly what happened. This is another one of my AI generations, but it may as well have, because to say that the meeting was tense is a little bit of an understatement. And we're going to get into it. But first, I want to start by prefacing something that I really didn't think needs to be said, but unfortunately in today's climate, it needs to be said. Now, I found a meme that perfectly encapsulates what I want to say, so I want to pull this up right now. I do not stand with Russia. I do not stand with Ukraine. I do not stand with NATO. I do not stand with the UN. I stand with the people in each country who are held hostage by governments that start wars, destroy economies, and subjugate our lives. Now, I think it's very important that they put I do not stand with Russia at the top of this list, because as we've seen time and time again, guys, every time there's a major divisive hot-button issue, they make it about, if you don't support X, you must support Y. And that couldn't be further from the truth. We're already starting to see this us versus them mentality start to bleed into regular Canadian life and politics. And I want to show you a little clip here of the NDP's Charlie Angus outside of a very small pro-Ukraine rally, where he was confronted by independent journalists asking about peace. Let's go check that out.
Is this Mr. Angus? How you doing today?
Good, man. How you doing?
We got some questions.
We certainly do.
See you here. We're hoping to see some progress.
A little bit of a photo op here.
And we're hoping that we're going to see some peace forthwith.
Absolutely. As soon as Putin is put in jail as an international war criminal, we'll get all the peace you want.
We're not going to have peace until then?
What, you support war criminals? Go ahead.
I want the war to stop.
Criminals. Yeah, go on. F*** off, Putin troll.
Dude,
Putin troll.
Nothing to do with Putin.
Yes, you do. If you don't stand with Ukraine, then you're a fascist.
Okay.
If you don't stand with Ukraine, then you're a fascist. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I don't know if Charlie Angus here understands the historical context or the irony of what he just said, but the entire reason the Ukraine is in the situation that it's in right now goes all the way back to 2014 to the Maidan Revolution, where the West, and yes, indeed, Canada, us, under Stephen Harper, sponsored far-right protesters to topple the democratically elected government of Ukraine and install Zelinskyy. I mean, check this article from CBC out, guys. Canadian embassy used as safe haven during Ukraine uprising, and investigation finds. Some allies say incident means Canada was an active participant in regime change. There it is, right there. Now let's see what else he has to say here.
Don't waste
Do you think it's fascistic to threaten to take away Canadian citizenship because you don't agree with their political leaning? Do you think that's appropriate?
Yeah.
What?
Convoy troll.
What about political violence, sir? You're a well-known supporter of Antifa. I have been the victim of this.
Yeah, you know Antifa?
Yes.
My uncles fought fascists all over Europe. They'd fight your fascists.
So you support the violent Antifa mobs in Ottawa? I have been the victim of violence from them. I was jumped.
You're a moron.
Because I'm a moron. So you're saying I deserve the violence from Antifa?
I think you're a
I was
Putin
jumped,
troll.
robbed, and beaten.
Ooh, you're a Putin troll.
I was jumped, robbed, and...
And what he just said there, I mean, look, I don't want to take away from his uncles fighting fascists in World War II, if that's indeed true. I mean, good on them. But just the irony here is, it's palpable. Do you remember when we invited an actual Nazi to our parliament?
We have here in the chamber today Ukrainian Canadian world veteran from the Second World War who fought the Ukrainian independence against the Russians and continues to support the troops today, even at his age of 98.
Now you can see it there. You can see it in the speaker's face where he's looking down at his paper and he's like, oh, geez. You could have just fired me, guys.
Putin troll. Off,
Do you
Putin
think that's
troll.
appropriate?
Off, Putin troll. Yeah, you stand outside the Russian embassy and
I
repeat
came here
Putin's talking
specifically to
point.
see you. I came here for you. You and your party, actually, Peter Julian called me an extremist in the House of Commons.
Yeah,
He
you
said
are.
my watermark is extremist without
You are an
evidence.
extremist.
How so? Can you provide any evidence
Yeah,
for
you're
that, sir?
standing outside here supporting Putin. You.
I'm here to confront you on your terrible policy. I want to know why you think it's appropriate to strip citizens of citizenship.
The money that we gave Ukraine, are there going to be assurances that we're going to get our money back too, or is that a grant? Was that a grant? I
Get a
retired when
job.
I was young. I made my money before I was 30. I don't need a job, okay? My job is dealing with you.
Yeah, you're
My
a
job is dealing
fascist.
with you.
You're a
get our money
fascist.
back?
You're a fascist.
So your answer is no, we're not getting our money back. Let me ask you this. Do you support Ukraine going into NATO? What about NATO?
I support Ukraine.
You think that
I
should be in
support
NATO?
Ukraine.
I want to hear.
Now that's a very fair and valid question. Do you support the Ukraine joining NATO? I think it's more than fair, guys, because the implications of that are staggering. We could very quickly end up in a situation where the entire Western world is literally fighting Russia. And anybody who knows the slightest bit of history and the Cold War knows how badly that could turn for all of us. Now, I've had enough of Charlie Angus here. I want to get right into Trump's disastrous meeting with Zelinskyy. So let's go check this out.
For 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr.
are
President,
not
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring it in.
Now, what he's saying there is completely 100% true, and it is not being touched by the legacy media. Nobody's talking about it, and I don't think people realize when they put the little blue and yellow flags in their profile picture what they're actually supporting. Now, this is going to be the darkest thing I've covered on this show so far. Yeah, so if you don't like this kind of stuff, you might just want to skip ahead a couple of minutes, or just wait till the next video. Let's go check it out. Not Russian propaganda. Real video of forced conscription in Ukraine. Man pleads, says he has a child alone at home. Bystanders look on helplessly. This is what the I Stand With Ukraine crowd is unwittingly supporting. Please help. Please help, I have a child alone at home. They're just dragging him into a van to be placed on the front lines to die. Let's look at another one here. This is what conscription looks like in Ukraine today. For all the pro-war jagoffs out there, how do you feel about this? Are you okay with young men being dragged to the front lines to die in a trench? J.D. Vance explicitly mentioned this yesterday, but Zelinskyy sidestepped the issue. Keep an eye on the lady in red, guys. That's his mother. It's absolutely disgusting. This is the recruitment tactic of Zelinskyy. Men are forced to conscription to die in a war that can't be won, and the corrupt UK government backs it. They just threw him off the bike, guys. This man was walking his dog. He begged to return the pet home before being taken. Denied. The dog was abandoned. Some conscripts don't survive a day. There are over 1,000 hours of footage that show Ukraine's forced conscription. Behind every pro-war comment in Europe, a scream like his. There's the van. There's him running for his life. They're just gonna leave the dog. So this is what you're supporting when you just blindly say, I stand with Ukraine. And it's even more disgusting if I ask you what the Maidan Revolution is, and you say you don't know. Anyways, let's get back into it.
Into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine? Did you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems? Bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You
God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
And Zelenskyy's not wrong there. You know, if we keep putting people into this meat grinder and if we keep escalating the situation, we very well could end up in a situation where war comes to this shore one day.
We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the
the
cards right now. With us, you start having
not
cards.
playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
You're
playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're playing cards.
Serious.
You're gambling with the lives of
war.
millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
Now, a lot of people have criticized Donald Trump for being unpresidential and boorish. And yeah, I mean, we've never seen anything like this before, guys. Certainly not a meeting such as this, you know, on national television. But what he just said there, gambling with the lives of millions of people, he's absolutely right. There's no question about it.
And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country's
Can I-
in big
can I-
trouble.
can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak-
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I
Again,
tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of
accept
times
that they're-
thank you
accept
to
that-
American people.
Now, when he says do business, this is where it gets weird, because this whole peace deal is dependent on the United States gaining access to rare earth minerals. You know, things like lithium and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a weird proposal, and it just goes to show you how dangerous the situation is, because this truly is the closest thing that we've heard to some sort of attempt to de-escalate the situation. All we've heard from other Western leaders is send more money, send more weapons, allow long-range missiles to be used. And if this plan actually works, then the best we could hope for is Russia not wanting to make a move, because they will be directly harming Americans. And at worst, this could be the kind of war profiteering that would make Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld blush. So only time is going to tell how this is going to play out, guys.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going
I
on.
understand.
The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing.
Well, he's wrong about that, guys. They won't just fight it out. We will fight it out. Justin Trudeau did not rule out putting Canadian boots on the ground, stating everything is on the table.
Prime Minister Starmer said specifically it will mean UK boots on the ground and planes in the air. From your answer, I am taking that that will not mean Canadian boots on the ground. Is that, just to finish, is that the case, or are you considering Canadian boots on the ground in the form of peacekeepers down the road?
Every step of the way, Canada has looked at the ways it can best help. And as I've said a few days ago, everything's on the table. We know that the Canadian military has ways that it can contribute. We're not going to get ahead of the discussions on how to keep a peace that isn't yet in place. But Canada will be there and is open to doing what is necessary, but those will be decisions taken in the coming years by Canadians and their government.
And don't look to Pierre Poilievre either for any sort of Canada First non-interventionist approach. He's been ducking this question for a long time now. And yeah, just watch this, guys.
Our allies are calling for a coalition of the willing to guarantee the security of Ukraine. You talked about pipelines there, but what tangible military supports would your government provide Ukraine, and does it include Canadian troops on the ground?
Thank you for your question. I haven't seen any such proposal. What I can tell you is that we've already supported, for example, giving missiles. We got a thank you letter from the Ukrainian military for the missiles that James Bazan, my shadow minister of defense, identified, and then the government eventually accepted his suggestion to donate them. We also think that that the best way to provide support is by selling Canadian energy, breaking the Russian monopoly that finance.
Now I'm just going to stop it right there because he goes on to spout off about his energy policy, which, don't get me wrong, Pierre, I like your energy policy, but that wasn't the question, was it? You were asked about boots on the ground, and you said you hadn't heard anything about that, and I just find that very disingenuous. There's been a lot of talk about boots on the ground, and just, I'm not comfortable with the way he's dodging this question. And I might get a lot of criticism for, attacking Pierre Poilievre, but his feet need to be held onto the fire on this one, and I'm not sorry. I'm going to vote for him just because of a lack of other tangible option, but don't think that he's immune to criticism or that we shouldn't hold his feet to the fire on this one. Anyways, guys, that's my show for tonight. What did you think of Trump versus Zelinskyy? Did you think the meeting went well? Did you think we're going to get some peace? Let me know in the comments. And as always, guys, please, if you like the content, like and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.